Hello, my name is Franklin Howard. Today presentation, I'll be presenting on the topic the Fair Information Practice Principle, FIPPs for short. So this is January the 27th, 2025. For introduction, the purpose of this presentation is all about the Fair Information or Practice Principle. This principle established the fundamental guidelines for managing individual private data securely. Right. These principles serve as the foundation for global privacy regulations like the GDPR, the HISPAT, and the CPAT, ensuring that both government and private entities effectively protect sensitive information. So we should look at the scope of this presentation. The scope of this presentation seeks to provide an overview of the role that the FIPPs play in private data laws. So remember that this presentation will involve creating a state of panic. Principles central to the FIPPs, it talks about transparency. Organization must inform individual about data collection. When you're collecting data, you have to inform individual about the data collection, the usage of the data, and the sharing of the data, right? So pay attention to data collection, storage, or usage, and share practice. Individual participation, how individual going to participate in the data. Individuals should have the ability to access, collect, and challenge their data, right? We also have purpose specifications. Organization must clearly state why data is collected before that data can be collected. So you have to inform the customer and give the customer as much information as to why the data are going to get collected. So these are additional key to fair information practice principle. Data minimization. It is important to gather and save only the data that is absolutely required, right? Uh, Data should only be utilized for its intended purpose according to the use limit. That's why it is also important to add limitation to data so that you don't go above what you're supposed to use the data for. And the data accuracy, completeness, and the accuracies of the data are crucial in avoiding mistake. So you have to make sure that the data is accurate so that you don't get involved with a lot of mistakes. Encryptions, who access the data, you have to get the access limits, and the monitoring can all help keep sensitive information safe. So who access the data will also help our data to be safe. Organizations should enforce regulations, monitoring compliance, and do all it to ensure accountability. So let's look at the fair information practice principles versus other privacy law, right? There are a couple of other privacy laws that we're going to be looking at. So with an emphasis on openness, data minimizations, and personal right, the GDPR is highly extremely compatible with the FIPPs. So what why we trying to look at the compatibility, right? So we also look at security and accountability in healthcare are addressed by the HIPAA, which utilize the FIPP principles, right? So let us look at the CCPA. Is the consumer are granted the right to access and regulate their data. Consumer have the right to access. This is part of the law. That's why you're going to sign to this document whenever people are requesting your data, giving them approval. And then we look at the Privacy Act of 1974. What does it do? It talk about one of the first law focus on openness and personal involvement. So the openness and personal involvement of your data is highly acceptable with this law. Distinction impact. The FIPP is an all encompassing structure, whereas law are sector or region specific. So this is to say that every law have a sector and region specific. So the way one sector will act with a particular law, the other sector might not. So the fair information practice principle at the federal level is very essential. It talks about openness. What openness is talking about, it makes public disclosure and privacy impact assessment available, right? It also talk about Freedom of Information Act, which is the FIA, should be used to grant individual access to government records. Agency privacy statements should specify the purpose of collecting personal identifiable information, seeking data collection to a minimum or by simply collecting necessary records like the IRS filing. Or safety, very important. You have to secure the data. Take precaution against cybersecurity by using encryption, firewall, and other cybersecurity tools. Responsibility, uh, inspect for compliance, train employees, and conduct audit on a regular basis. Data must be secure. So to conclude, the FIPPs have an impact on regulations such as the GDPR, the HIPAA, and the CCPA, since they offered a standard framework for data protection, stronger protections of personal data, enhanced public trust, and mitigations of privacy threats in an era of digital transformation can be achieved by federal agency by applying these laws. Thanks once again. My name is Franklin Howard.